Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Later in the show, I'll be turning agony uncle with the help of my panel, Paul Cox and Cressida Wetton, and we're going to help you deal with your unfiltered dilemmas. So if you've got any problems at all, email us at gbviews@gbnews.com and we'll do our best to answer your problems. So, the Prime Minister appears to have listened to the masses this week and announced a revised set of green policies, including the pushing back of the ban on sales of new petrol and diesel cars by 5 years. Rishi Sunak says the original goals to reach net zero emissions would impose unacceptable costs on hard-pressed British families, but also insists the UK can still meet climate targets. Many experts disagree. So, is this the right way to go in the current economic climate? Or should we be putting the environment above all else? Well, here to battle it out is leader of the climate party, Ed Gemmell, and founder of Fair Fuel UK, Howard Cox. Ed, can I come to you first about this? So, is Rishi Sunak right that the net zero plans would have disproportionately impacted the poorer in society?
I don't think he's right on that, but I think he's utterly, completely missed the point. What people in Britain want is they want an industrial strategy that's going to get us out of the cost of living crisis, get rid of inflation, see us having money to invest in our social services, our NHS and everything else. From my consideration, he's no longer Rishi Sunak, he's Rishi Sunk. He's sunk everything he's doing. It's pathetic, gutless and without ambition. What he should have done is he should have gripped the moment. We should have got forward on it. We should have brought forward our industrial strategy. 149 countries of the world have set net zero targets. We don't have to agree with that. It just is a reality. And if we want to get out there and play, we need to bring our targets forward, get serious, invest in this, and see Britain leading this new clean industrial revolution, making money for Britain, rather than giving away what little advantage we had.
OK, Howard, do you have any thoughts on that?
Very much so, and I love the fact you're actually thinking about industry, because the problem with industry at the moment in time is they haven't been thought about. And I give Rishi Sunak something like 6 or 7 out of 10. I tend to agree with you that he's actually ducked the real idea. And have you noticed there's an election next year?
Yeah.
And there's 37 million UK drivers in this country, and they all vote.
Yes.
And I'm afraid something like 93%, at least 93%, drive diesel or petrol cars.
Yes, well, we've seen the backlash with ULEZ as well, and the sort of the vandalism of cameras and this kind of thing. It's not these net zero policies aren't necessarily popular with everyone.
They're not popular whatsoever. Everyone wants a clean planet. Everyone wants to breathe clean air. Oh, we all want that, but you don't do it by hitting people in the pocket. And that's what's happening with this at the moment. We've got a budget coming up in 2 months' time, and I'm hearing that Jeremy Hunt might be putting fuel duty up, all to actually placate the Green side of the argument.
So is this a reality, Ed, that when it comes to being re-elected, you do have to think of money most of all? That's what people are voting for. They want to be better off, don't they?
Well, I think when you're talking about election and electioneering, I mean, Howard's absolutely right. Look, this was gutless, self-serving and selfish. It wasn't doing anything for our country at all. Howard and I may disagree on the car part, but I don't think we disagree on that bit of it.
You say it's cowardly, but isn't he responding to concerns of the electorate?
I don't think he's responding to the real concerns of the electorate. I have to say, yes, there are a lot of car drivers, but there's also 82% of people wanting action on net zero. But more than that,
well, I don't know where that statistic is.
Howard. I don't know more than that.
82%.
So
one at a time, please. One at a time.
Ipsos Mori poll. But more than that, everybody wants money to invest in our services. And the only way we do it is by increasing our industrial capacity, exactly as Howard said. Look, since 1970, about 30% of our GDP was created from manufacturing. That's dropped to under 10% today. We're moving rapidly down the scale of those that do. We have a trade deficit that's been running on goods that we import and export since 1983. It's costing us money all the time. We don't have anybody here with a proper strategy to move this country out of it. And we're looking at the most obvious economic reality is everyone is going to net zero. Whether they go 2030, 2050, 2070, 2060 like Chinese, they're going there. And the Chinese have stolen a march. They're ahead of us on manufacturing everything. They're pouring out the EVs, they're in control of solar, they're in control of... But yes, I'm not saying they're doing it right. That's a different thing, Howard. We can agree that maybe they're doing it the wrong way, but what they're doing is gripping it, grabbing it, and they're leading this new industrial revolution. Look, we've got heritage. We started the original industrial revolution. We can lead this one. We've just got to go for it.
Howard, is it true that we're just putting off the inevitable?
I don't think we are. I mean, he's moved 2030 to 2035 to fall in line with Europe.
Right.
Why? Boris got up one morning and said, I think I'll make it 2030.
Yes.
You know, he obviously had a hangover or something like that. The simple thing is, at the moment, all of what you're saying is undemocratic. I didn't vote for this. And I can ask the audience here, did you vote for this?
That's right. It's undemocratic to want an industrial strategy that makes money for Britain. Which bit are you talking about?
Your bit about 80% of people all want net zero. The net zero, the 100 and whatever countries and all that sort of thing. I don't think anyone's voted for this yet. We all want clean air, but let's do it together and let's incentivise, industrialise-wise, clean fuel technology. It doesn't have to be electric vehicles because they're not as green as you think. From out of the lithium taken out of the ores in the countries all the way to disposal and getting rid of the battery, they're not that much cheaper.
You mentioned that no one voted for this in your view. Do you feel there has been a lack of clarity generally when it comes to politicians making pledges for subsequent elections when it comes to this issue?
Absolutely right. And one of the biggest ones is a local election, Sadiq Khan here in London. He had a public consultation where 2 out of 3 people did not want the ULEZ extension, but he's still going ahead with it. Our politicians are lying to us, except when it comes up to an election. We need honesty, please, from them. And that's one good thing he did say. He said we've got to be honest with the electorate. I thank him for that, and that's why I give him 6 or 7 out of 10.
But isn't the reality that we do have to address these environmental concerns? They're not going anywhere, are they?
Yeah, but I don't believe there's a climate change crisis. There's climate change is happening.
Can we rephrase this? I mean, we're looking at it. You keep saying we're addressing these concerns. It's as if it's altruism. Where's this altruism? We don't have to do it for the world. We've got to do it for us. And I'm not even talking about for our children's futures. It's going to make money. Look, the world is going there, for goodness sake. It's so obvious. And I was in the election in Uxbridge and I was on the street talking to people. And when you put it to the man on the street, for 40 years we've offshored all of our industry. We don't make anything here. That's why we don't have any money to invest in anything anymore. We've got to get an industrial strategy that's clear, that's obvious, that's moving us forward. And this is quite clearly where the world is going. Like it or not, democratic or not, they're going there. 92% of the world's GDP is controlled by those countries that have taken on these targets. It's going there. We can be left behind, as we are now. The 2035 weakening on the car target isn't the biggest thing in the world. But in actual fact, it shows the problem of intent. We have had flip-flopping politicians who've given up. Rishi Sunak, gone back on it. He's now moved it to 2035. What next is he going to do? And it won't just be on net zero. It'll be on other things. We won't have an industrial strategy. We can't get the investment. The city will lose ground. It already is. Whereas if we move forward our target, get serious, government is serious, the city gets ahead, invests in it, puts the money in it, and we can benefit.
Let's Howard come in and respond to that now at this point.
I find that your monologue is very passionate. Everything you said, but it doesn't have to be for electric vehicles. It doesn't have to be. We don't have to have edicts, 2035 or a 2050 target. Let's work together in the industrial sense, but bring the people with us to get through with clean fuel technology. I'm not just talking about petrol and diesel, I'm talking about gas. I believe in fracking and all those sorts of things as well. Let's do this together. We need cheaper energy. The cheaper energy you get, the more prosperous every economy is.
Right. Can I ask you, Howard, then, OK, going away just from your pet topic, which is clearly cars, and let's talk about the general economy. What is your mission for Britain? What would actually take us forward? What's going to drive us from under 10% in terms of industry contribution to GDP back up to 25 or 30%? What have you got in your bag that's going to get us there?
Well, what's in my bag, as I've always said, and I've been campaigning for 14 years on low taxation, I put more money into people's pockets and allow them to choose where they spend it. I think we'd all agree on that, wouldn't we?
Yes. But, I mean, to some extent, though, we've got to earn the money, haven't we?
Yeah,
so we've got to have it. You're talking about taking from Peter to pay Paul. How are you going to... What is your industrial strategy to take Britain out of the doldrums, to put us on the front, to give us ambition? What is your strategy? Net zero is an obvious direction. Is there a better one?
Well, I'm sorry. You're trying to actually distort what I'm saying. I'm telling you now that this country is sitting on incredible energy reserves. We've got people over here. I believe in electric vehicles. We can invest in that. But they shouldn't get a free ride with no taxation and getting a ban that actually gives them unfair things over the competition. I don't believe in those sorts of things. What we need to do is work together. And I repeat, people like you and I should be talking on the same hymn sheet, proverbial hymn sheet, and saying how we will actually work together for clean fuel technology. Get that right. We'll have money pouring in.
Doesn't that appeal to you, Ed?
I totally agree with the last bit. So there's no point to say that. Absolutely right, Howard, on that. But what I do here is we're coming back to the fact that, and this is the problem with most of our politicians, they don't have a proper macro strategy.
I agree with that.
And then they drop back down to details. And we may disagree on the details. In fact, I don't think we disagree particularly on what you just said now. We do need to invest in energy in every single format. From my perspective, it's got to be clean energy. We should be investing in everything, and we should be bringing our targets forward so that we get that momentum, get the investment into it, that we make our our environmental, eco-tech, tech companies generally, innovative
But we
companies
shouldn't be
more
forced into
valuable.
one direction, should we? That's the
But
problem
we're
we're
not.
getting.
Ed-
We're saying only buy electric vehicles. That's it.
Ed, can I just ask you, though, I mean, your concern is very much with the development of an industrial strategy. So you don't share the concern of activists who say this is about climate disaster, impending climate disaster.
So, look, I'm not going to stick myself to the road and block traffic, and I'm not going to put a drape over the Prime Minister's house, OK? That's why I lead a political party, and that's why we do what we do.
Yes.
But we're mainly here to say, look, whatever we all believe on the science, and whether people here all agree with me on the science or not, is irrelevant. This is a massive opportunity, and China is raking it in at the moment, and we're paying them.
Well, we don't have much time, Ed, so I do have to give the final word to Howard, if that's all right. Final word to you, Howard.
Well, I'm saying that it's very simple. Let's listen to the people, put more money into their pockets, and let's really frack away. And let's. I'm serious. We've got to get.
Regressive.
No. I'm sorry. We've got to do this. We've got to reduce the cost of our energy in this country. We've become more competitive.
doesn't do it.
And I'd like to get to a situation where we export the gas rather than we import the gas.
I wish we had time.
80% of our gas.
I wish we had time to go into the whole fracking debate. We don't have that at the moment. But Ed Gemmell and Howard Cox, thank you both so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. And still to come on Free Speech Nation, we'll be speaking to a women's health writer who has been censored for using the word woman when she was asked to contribute expert quotes to an article on menstruation. First, let's get your latest weather.